Ashley sighed, dumped the UK postmarked envelope onto the wooden food tray and rattled it along the metal bench rails of the food counter. She stopped briefly, her eyes scanning the stewed fava beans, fatted hummus and scrambled eggs. Her eyes drew back to the envelope and her stomach lurched, taking her appetite with it. She ambled down the counter to the coffee machine. Pouring a large mug of the hot, black liquid, her hand suddenly jerked and she stopped, the pot suspended in mid-air, her heart racing. "Hey, birthday girl!" Craig's southern drawl had boomed across the room and elicited curious glances from the oilfield workers already eating breakfast. She winced, sensing the heat rising into her cheeks. Turning, he bounded into her path, and she couldn't help but smile at the gaping grin, revealing his uneven bottom row of teeth. He ruffled his short dark hair with one hand and handed over the small parcel held tightly in his other. "Happy birthday, darling," he said in a quieter voice. "Thanks, Bud." She took the gift and placed it next to the envelope, slapping him lightly on the arm. She finished pouring her coffee, added a dash of milk and picked up 2 sugar sleeves. "You eating?" she asked, her eyes indicating to an empty table next to the window at the back of the restaurant. "Hell yeah," he said, reaching for a tray and loading it with a plate of scrambled eggs and stewed beans. He moved down the food counter, his eyes appealing to his taste buds. Ashley picked up her tray and rucksack and sidled between protruding chairs and poorly positioned tables to get to the one she had spotted. She placed her tray on the hard plastic surface, hooked the rucksack over the back of the chair and slumped into the hard seat. Leaning back and tilting her head into the cool breeze of the air conditioning, her eyelids fluttered. She smiled to herself. She hadn't expected him to remember her birthday. She hadn't reminded him. She hadn't wanted to. She'd hoped to get through the day quietly, avoiding the truth. Her 32nd birthday had hit her hard, but more distressing than that was the fact that her love life hadn't changed since her arrival at Deir ez-Zor more than a year ago. She hated being single and stuck in the middle of the Syrian desert, the only female in a group of 16 expats from her own company and over 200 men at the base made up of locals and expats from other companies. At least that would change today with the arrival of Catherine Blackwell, their new base manager. At least the thought of having female company brought with it a pleasant fluttering sensation in her stomach. And what if she were a lesbian too? She smiled at the thought. What would be the chances of that? She tried to dismiss her wishful thinking, but the butterflies continued to dance optimistically. Striding across the room, covering the space effortlessly with his long gait, Craig approached the table and landed his tray with a thud, silencing the room. He didn't notice. Ashley chuckled, rocking her head back and forth at his quirky ineptitude. He might be able to weld an electric circuit board with his eyes shut, but landing a tray on a table that was too low for him seemed beyond his capabilities. She watched him squeeze into the chair opposite her. "So, what's up?" he asked, wiggling in the standard-sized seat and banging his knees on the underside of the table. "Fucking things built for kids," he mumbled, not seeking a response. Her eyes flicked between the gift box and the card sitting side by side on the tray in front of her. "Nothing," she lied. "Uh-huh." A wry smile appeared on his face. He shoved a forkful of beans in his mouth and seemed to swallow without chewing. "You're looking all worked up about something," he said with a laugh. "You should be celebrating." Ashley twisted the mug in her hands. "And you need to eat. It's real good. So much better with the new cook," he said, pointing his fork at Ashley's empty tray. Ash's stomach rumbled. "You're right." She made her way to the counter and returned with a plate of eggs and beans. The subtle flavours danced on her taste buds and stole her attention from her gloomy thoughts. "This is good," she said,